You guys, how are y'all doing? Got a lot going on, let's see. I really did try to have this already set up, but kind of really didn't work that way. So, hold on. There we go. Hey, how you doing? Now I know I'm going to end up having to plug this phone up, so let's go ahead and put it on the charger, right? Yeah, I know I don't go live too often, so, but I'm going live today, and a lot has happened since the last time I spoke to you, talked to you, right? The camera is over this way. So you might see me going back and forth or whatever, right? But I want to go live today. And number one, we're going to do something about this, and we're going to talk about all of this that's going on up in here, right? That's first thing. We're about to have a ball up in here. This is probably going to be a semi-long live. That's number one. Let's just go and get that part out of the way. Hey, how you doing? I hope all is well with you. So, this is what we're going to do first. You know, I was thinking YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, but you want to know why I really came on YouTube? Because don't nobody pay me no attention on YouTube. That's why I really came on YouTube. Like, I can actually talk about whatever I'm going to talk about, and, you know, people see it. But even, well, thank you. Thank you. It's, exactly. So, yeah, it's definitely needs some help. So I'm going to give it some help. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. Where do I begin? You know what? You are somebody. Remember when they used to tell you that? I am somebody. Yes, you are somebody. Absolutely. So first, what I'm going to do with my hair is I'm going to begin to detox. We're going to do a detox today, but it's not going to be the detox where I go under the dryer and all of that, but I'm definitely going to take care of my scalp. And it's really mostly a hair detox because you see how dry it is. I just been I ain't even shampooed it. I was about to, I just been wetting it and pulling it back like this, and then just doing something like this or something to the degree of, but it is time to come out of that little that safety bun. So that's what I'm going to start with, this detox. So we're going to get started with the detox. Cyber hair care detox, right? This detox is great for scalp inflammation. If you have scalp inflammation, okay. This is great for scalp inflammation. If you are dealing with scalp disorders, treatable scalp disorders, if you are dealing with forms of alopecia, more so traction alopecia that is not chronic or scarred, scarred alopecia, scarred traction alopecia is it's very slim to none to growing back, but it will help take care of what you do have up there. It will help to get that scalp cleansed in those areas with a chance of some hair growing. So scarring is not end all be all, but it's definitely it's not an end all be all, but it's very hard to come back from it, you know. And I always think about, well, lately I've been thinking about scarring alopecia, or scarring, well, alopecia, first of all, is just a medical term for hair loss, okay? Yes, thinking. It's alopecia is a medical term for hair loss, okay? So you may hear me say hair loss, you may hear me say alopecia, but I am talking about the same thing. So if you are experiencing alopecia, hair loss, then this will help you. But I've been, something that's just been dealing with me is when it comes to scarring alopecia, sometimes I remember, hold on, let me get this out and then I'm gonna go back to that thought. Sometimes what we think is dead and what we think cannot live again or will not come back, sometimes God has a different plan, right? And so when I think about scarring alopecia, scarring hair loss, chronic traction alopecia is more so what I'm talking about. It's a word. It's more so if God actually wants that thing to live and there is a reason for life to be inside of that follicle, and we're talking hair, but we are definitely talking whatever that dead thing is going on in your life, he will allow it to grow back. I've seen it, but scientifically, if you are experiencing scarring alopecia, it's not supposed to grow back. But I have seen it with my own eyes grow back. And it's not, and people will say it's not necessarily that it was scarring alopecia. No, it was scarred. You could actually see, sometimes with scarring, you can actually see like it's like a little shiny spot, or it won't, there is no hair there, and it does not, and it's hair all the way around it, but it will look like nothing can grow there. However, if God actually wants that follicle to live, he will reactivate those blood cells to get and cause that blood to start reflowing in that area, and he will get down into those stem cells, and he will cause those stem cells to start regenerating, to start reproducing, cause restoration. Okay, he will do that. in everyday life. Like, it's just amazing to me just how much hair care. I'm gonna say the health of your hair. I'm a holistic trichologist, and it's just amazing to me that it is really holistic, like your whole body. And for me, I'm learning that this is more of a mind, body, and spirit situation. Mind, body, being, mind, body, soul, however you want to say it. But it is a all around wellness. Okay? And I am just sitting here reminded of like Lazarus. Let me tell you, Lazarus was gone. Like Lazarus was gone, wrapped up in the with all that stuff, you know, the little white strips and stuff, in his buried clothes, in his dead clothes. Lazarus was dead. He was dead. But if God wants something to live, it is going to live. Do you hear me? So he sent YHWH, Jesus, over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was coming anyway, but a miracle had to take place. You know what I'm saying? A miracle had to take place. And so here comes Jesus, and here go his sisters doing what they're doing. He said, Lazarus, he called him forth. And that's what he do to these follicles when you are under good hair care, okay? When you have a stylist who actually cares for your hair and who actually help you maintain the integrity of your hair, he will call it forth. He will speak to that thing. He will speak to that follicle. He will speak to those dead things in your life, and he will call it forth. If it's in his will, if he wants you to live in that thing, I have been, a little while ago, I did a video called Delivered from the Grave. And so much in this last year, so much of that video, I've actually been living. I believe when I did that video, I don't think I was really talking about myself at the time. However, I have now been living that, being delivered from the grave, okay? So when it comes to hair care, restoration is here. Restoration is here, right? And that's for the whole body. It's for the whole body. It is not just for hair, okay? Okay. All right. Y'all, I didn't know, but today is July 5th, 2024. July 5th, 2023, a relationship ended. A relationship of 13 years at the time. 13 years. Off and on. 3 children. It ended. And when I say ended, I mean ended. Because sometimes we walk around, people see us, just physically, and sometimes we can just be walking around dead, doing what we're doing because our faith keeps us going. Like, personal for me, like, my faith kept me going. Like, I'm not even gonna front. But at the end of the day, I was definitely in the grave, like, dead. Dead, right? But just like Yahushua called Lazarus, he called my name, okay? He been called my name a long, long, long time ago. If I'm being honest, the being called was not new. It was not new. But the relationship ended. It actually ended on the 4th of July, but I moved on the 5th. And we ended up going into a shelter. My children and I, three of the children. My oldest daughter was in North Carolina with her dad. So we ended up moving into a shelter. And although that was a very hard time, there was just so much peace. Like, I can't even explain the peace hood, if that's even a thing. I was living in a hood of peace hood, like, just a covering, a calmness of peace, because regardless, I had to do it. So I had to face it, like, I had to face it head on. And, that's just is what it is. It didn't matter, because even though God had called me, I still made the choice to answer. And even though that relationship ended on the 5th, that relationship really ended a long time ago. But sometimes we don't break those ties. And so those ties will keep pulling us back. And sometimes God will even use that same tie to break the cycle. Somebody better catch it. He will use that same tie to break the cycle, because sometimes you cannot move forward until the cycle is broken. Period, point blank. And sometimes he will call you back into that thing. Cause this whole big to do, and it's just like you don't even know what's happening, why it's happening, but it all comes crashing down. But it's been that. But God knows that this is what it's gonna take to get you to do what I'm calling you to do. Pause right there. Clients, people, hairstylists, clients, whatever the case may be, before your hair becomes the level, before your scalp and your hair and your follicle and your stem cells become dead or become unresponsive, felt that one. Before it becomes unresponsive, you are given warnings that this thing is starting to take place. You are given warnings that, okay, my edge is starting to get a little weak, little spots and stuff starting to happen. You get those warnings. But when you ignore those warnings, that thing starts to die. So you be on life support and don't even realize you're being helped to breathe. That hair follicle is struggling to breathe. It's struggling to breathe. You're struggling to breathe. You can't even do a full inhale and exhale right? So that hair, when that hair follicle is struggling to breathe, that is, it's preventative. You're going through the preventative time of before the breakage. You can prevent the breakage. You can prevent death. You can, and traction alopecia, whether it's scarring or non-scarring, it is progressive, meaning it happens over time. It does not happen instantly. So when we are out here living our lives, when once we become dead, that didn't happen instantly. That took a time. That took years. That took months. That took however long it took. And then it was to the point of no return. And that's the same thing I have to tell my clients when it comes to this hair side, right? Your hair didn't mess up overnight. So please don't come in here thinking that we're going to fix it in one session. It don't happen in one session because you didn't mess it up in one session. I digress. So let me pick back up, right? So when God had already told me, and see, He used your children too. Some nights before, it was still in June, sometime still in June, my baby boy said, praise for, he said praise for something, right? I put it in our group chat, and I don't know who got up. I don't know who got up and put a dance on it. I have no idea. But I did. I got up and I put a dance on that. And when I did that, I literally felt everything break. And I knew it was just a matter of time before it hit the fan. And then even in that, I was still trying to prolong it. I was still trying to stay in that thing. But I already knew it was over. But it was just a fact of, because I have left this situation so many times. You know, it's what people gonna say. Oh, I knew this. Oh, X, Y, and Z. But let me tell you, when God pull you out of something, stay out of it. And if He wants you to be in that thing, it will be right. Okay? If He wants you in it, it'll be right. If it ain't right, He don't want you in it. He is not the author of confusion. Period, point blank. And when I tell you, there was toxicity, there was confusion, there was arguing, there was manipulation, there was all of it. It was all of it. So He didn't want me in that thing, but He put me back in that thing because the cycle had to break. This is a year, right? This is a year. Today marks a year, and I've just been, I've been up. I've been up. My eyes puffy. When I don't get rest, this eye becomes a little lazy because I've been up, and I just been just really thanking Him for even pulling me out of the situation, because I would still be there, still fighting for something that didn't really want me. If I'm being honest, didn't want me at that time. And, you know, I would have still been fighting for somebody who didn't respect me. I would have still been fighting for somebody who really didn't want me, because if he did, the respect would have been there, right? I would have been fighting for somebody. At the end of the day, I was fighting for something and someone who did not want me back at the end of the day. And that's okay. And that's okay, because what God has for me is for me. All right? And maybe that just wasn't for me. And although we have children, we have three beautiful, hard-headed children, right? They're children. We have them beautiful beings that He gave us to, father and mother in this world, in this earth realm. They had to come through that. They had to. I mean, I can't. They had to, or it wouldn't have been, right? However, when God said it's time, it was time. And I had to release. I had to release. When I tell you, sugar, honey, iced tea hit the fan, it hit the fan. It hit the fan, hit the ceiling, blew the ceiling off the roof. Do you hear me? And so many little things led up to this big explosion, combustion. I remember writing a poem a long, long time ago. I think it was called something combustion, like internal combustion. I don't remember, but I used to write. I used to write all the time. Like I used to have a book, a binder like this, right? Stories and novels, and I used to write. But anyway, I even went to school for journalism. You know what I'm saying? I used to write. I loved writing. But however, it hit the roof. It hit up there and it exploded. And when it exploded, all I heard my children's father say, y'all get out, right? And of course, it just wasn't like that. It was very angry, it was explosive, and he meant it, right? So, and that was July 4th. And he told me, I don't care where y'all go, X, Y, and Z, but y'all got to get out of here. And not only did he say it, he said it in front of his mom. And I'm just going to say she was not, I'm just going to say I don't think she really cared much about the relationship anyway. I'm just going to say that. For whatever her reasons are, it is what it is, right? So, his reason being why he said that was because we didn't want to be there anyway. That was his reason. That's what he said. And so my whole thing is, I did want to be there. I'm not gonna lie. I did want to be there. I did want to make the relationship work. I did want to have my children growing up in a one-parent home, which was really one, outside of actually loving him, that was one of the reasons why I kept going back. Like, we can work through this. We can work through this. Like, everybody go through whatever. But, and even in that, it was like, all those times, I want to say, I think I left about 7 times, maybe 8. I don't know. But I didn't want my children to not grow up in a 2-parent home. I did not want them to experience going back and forth. However, on the flip side of that, I didn't want them to continue experiencing the toxicity. You know what I'm saying? The not being, just the toxicity. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want them to continue to grow up in that. And it went all outside the home. It was in the salon that I worked in. It was in different people's homes where I didn't even say anything. So that means the word had to get out, right? However, I digress. But that was his reason, because he said we didn't want to be there. And he said that I did not help him financially. So, quick, quick backstory. Quick backstory, real quick. When I came back to South Carolina, I had absolutely no idea I was coming back to South Carolina. However, I came back and we lived in a hotel. My children and I. We were living in a hotel. Living in a hotel, I was just talking to God, like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing here? But I had been traveling back and forth, doing hair, servicing my clients from Virginia to South Carolina, and I had a few in Georgia. So being in a hotel, we aren't accustomed to that. Like, that was nothing. You know what I'm saying? Um, when when we got back here, I was in the hotel and I found an apartment. It was actually like a duplex, and it was ran by this older lady, right? Older white lady. And I was getting ready to pay my deposit, and she said it was a 2 bedroom, but I mean, hey, we've been in a 1 bedroom before. So it was a 2 bedroom apartment. And this lady says, "Oh, I didn't know you had 4 children. We don't have room for that. You can't live 5 people in a 2 bedroom." Who you tell? No, you can. But the thing is, number one, she didn't just want to rent to me, period, point blank. She didn't want to rent out the space. She did not want to give the apartment to me um, because of that. Well, that's what she said, so that's what I'm gonna go with. She said that I have 4 children and 5 people can't be in a 2 bedroom. So that's what she said. And so my money was running very, very low. I had that deposit in the first months, and that got us through the hotel stay. But now it's becoming like, what we gonna do? Where we going? And um, it was cold one night. It was real cold, and my sister called me, then my mom called me, and this was the first night of not being in the hotel because money had ran out. And my mom was like, "Well, call him and see if y'all can come over there." And it was no problem. He had absolutely no problem with it. I went to his job and picked up the key, X, Y, and Z. So I got an offer to come back to Virginia, but I just didn't feel led to go back to Virginia. I could have went back to Virginia, but I didn't feel led to go back to Virginia. I had closed up shop and everything in Virginia, and I said, we're gonna make base here in South Carolina. We're gonna go back home. Cause this is where I felt led to be. And so he let us come in, and we're just there, and I was just like, well, you know, what we gonna do? And he was like, well, if y'all gonna be here, then we need to upgrade to a bigger place. He had a 2 bedroom. And he was like, if y'all gonna be here, we need to upgrade to at least a 3 bedroom, right? And I said, so what we gonna do? Like, is we going back into this relationship type of thing or what? And he was like, yeah, that's what we doing. We gonna move into this place and we gonna be happily ever after. Happily ever after lasted, um after getting into the new apartment. um y'all know how that thing go. It's good in the honeymoon phase and just getting back together and all of that stuff and X, Y, and Z. So I did that. We did that. We went back into the apartment. I mean, well, we moved into the apartment and got the children in school and all of that stuff, and hell was breaking loose. I'm gonna tell you that because, and this is what I learned. I learned that that was what the enemy wanted because he knew that I could not serve out my purpose or I could not walk how Elohim, how God wanted me to walk while being in this relationship with this particular person. And it wasn't that I wasn't strong enough, it was just that type of soul tie that we had going on. It, I could not. It would have been impossible. However, that very thing that the enemy, that the devil, that Satan Hasatan wanted to use for my bad, that's what God used for my good. Like, that is that thing. That's what he used for my good. Do you understand what I'm saying? He took that thing. I mean, and I got back into smoking. I got back into, you know, premarital sex, like all of it. I got back into all of this with him. We've been together 13 years, right? Off and on, 13 years. But this time, I actually came into it and I was actually ready to fight for this relationship. But as things began to hit the fan and things that happened when we wasn't together this last time started to come out, and he were denying all of them. All of the allegations that came up, he were denying. If it was a picture, if it was a text message, if I even was telling the 100% truth and gave factual evidence, he was still denying it. It never happened. X, Y, and Z never happened. So, just moving forward, that's just moving forward, right? I'm gonna like expedite this thing, but even though I have to slow walk it, you know, we'll probably be talking about this for a little bit because I feel it to release pieces of my story, if not the whole thing. But I just feel led to release some things right now, because I've been delivered. Okay, and so maybe it's to help somebody else. But just to fast forward, all of those things came to the light. Um, and as I am sitting here trying to make this relationship work, the whole time I'm being rejected, the whole time I'm being ignored, the whole time I'm being abandoned. And it's like, okay, at what point? At what point, girl, do you wake up? But I could not wake up because it wasn't time for me to wake up. It's all in God's timing, okay? But he allowed something to happen. And it started with the finances. Like, this was his whole situation with me, right? Was that I didn't help him with the bills. he knew that about me from years and years and years ago. So this wasn't anything new, right? That's just how I see that thing being. Now, if you like actually struggling, that's a different story. But if you are gambling away the money, you're not struggling. You are making bad choices, poor financial choices. So you're not struggling. You are addicted to this way of life. You are addicted to gambling. You are addicted to these things. So when we wasn't together, um, he did something. And when he did something with taxes, unemployment, all of that stuff, because it was COVID time, and during that time, people was getting all kind of money, right? And so, at some point, when we got back together and we got moved into the other apartment and all of the stuff, his wages started being garnished, and I mean garnished by the thousands, right? But that wasn't no, you did that when we wasn't together, right? So financially, you got to handle that. I'm not going to help you pay that back, but I will help you with like the light bill, because I'm not going to pay the rent. I'll help you with the light bill. I help with cable. Like, I help with our extras, right? So doing that, I ran out of money. Like, even in doing that, I ran out of money. Okay, I was still working in a salon, fighting to keep my business alive, because, like I said, it was a dead season. It was a dead situation. So I was fighting every day. I went to work. I was walking into a situation that I really didn't really want to be in, right? But y'all, I'm gonna get started on my hair, right? While I talk this, so give me a second. So, my bad. So, I began to, let's get started on this. Because I'll be sitting here talking, as you can see, and still don't have anything done. So, but that was his whole ordeal, that I didn't help him with the bills and stuff like that. But I feel like if you're going to work every night, and I mean working 12 hours, 13, even overtime, right? If you are doing that, and every time something is due, every time the rent is due, there is no money. So what's going on? No, I'm not helping with that. I'm not. And even to the future husband, listen, I'm not going to. If we can't bring our monies together, and I don't know what's going on with the money, don't expect me to be like, oh, here you go. No. He didn't want to get a bank account, and today, thank you for the rejection. He didn't want to do a bank account. He didn't want to do an in-home bank. Nothing. So I didn't know where the money was going, outside of the fact it was being garnished. But it's being garnished, but you still ain't trying to come together financially. You just want me to give you the money. Nope, that don't work with me either. So, but that was a bunch of his big ordeal, right? So So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna wet it because I cannot comb through this. I will not comb through this like this, okay? So we just gonna wet it just a little bit, just enough to be able to comb through it. And it's gonna be good because I have like, well, the water solution that I put on it after I do shampoo it. Well, I wasn't shampooing it, I was just wetting it, putting it in putting it in that bun. But I'm going to get this on my scalp, but I'm really concerned about all of this dryness right here, right? So so at some point he's like, he need help with this, he need help with that, but he's saying that, and I'm saying, well, let's do a budget. He don't want to do a budget. There was no budget. There was no, sometimes I see what my clients be talking about. He didn't want to do a budget. He didn't want to do, bring our money together. And so it got to a point of, that was his excuse for why everything was going the way everything was going. But that was a bold-faced lie, okay? That is just the excuse that he used. And that's fine. That's his truth. That's what he want to say. Hey, that was his reason for rejection. That was his reason for the abandonment. All of that was because he wasn't receiving financial help. Now, mind you, I'm not receiving mental help. I'm not receiving physical help. I'm not receiving help with these children. I'm dealing with them and going to work. I'm doing everything. I'm cooking. I'm cleaning. I am taking care of them. I mean, I'm being a wife without being a wife. Because what he said is he would never marry me. That's when my light came on. See, God will use that one thing and make that thing the thing, okay? And that's what he used. I asked him one night, y'all, it's so many, this is 13 years, so even in, this was 13 years, so there are so many stories that I could tell. But there are so many that I could tell. But at the end of the day, I asked him one day, I said, so we doing this, we living like this, so, you know, what's up with the whole marriage thing? And what he said to me is, he actually waited, he contemplated. This wasn't no quick reaction, this wasn't no quick answer. He actually thought about it. He came, he went into the bathroom, he had him a little smoke session, and he came, he opened up the bathroom door and he said, I actually stayed. He said, I was sitting on the bed, like I remember it, like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the bed and he said, marry you? Marry what? Why would I marry you? And let me tell you, that night, see, at some point, when God is ready to open up your eyes, he know how to do it. I'm going to tell you that part right now. But he was ready for that cycle to be broken, okay? He was ready. And he knew what was going to do it for me, because he knows your heart's desires. He knows what you really want. And he knew that I wanted to be in his will. And he knew that I know that I can't be in his will and be not in a fully committed relationship. And then not even, and on top of that, I have to be, even, now, husband, if you come across this and we don't even know each other yet, listen, if we are not godly connected, it ain't gonna work, okay? And yes, I do know this, okay? If we do not serve the same Elohim, if we do not serve the same Yod He Vah He, okay? If we do not serve the same Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, listen, it ain't gonna work. I already know it, okay? You can tell me you believe in God all you want to, but if it ain't my God, if it ain't my God that raised Yahushua HaMashiach, that raised Jesus Christ from the dead, it just won't be. You got to believe in Yahushua HaMashiach. You got to believe in the word of God. Do you hear me? And you got to believe that he was sent here. You got to believe that he died and he rose again, okay? On the third day. You got to believe in the death, the burial, and the resurrection, and your life has to show it, okay? But anyway, I'm going to keep going. So he said that to me, right? And after he said it, he closed the bathroom door back up. But as he's saying it, I'm just looking at him and I'm like, wow. Like, you choose everybody except for the one who actually wants you. And that goes for females, that goes for family, that goes for all of that, right? It goes for everybody. People, places, and things. So, hey, he closed that bathroom door up. And when I tell you, those were the loudest silent tears I ever cried. Do you hear me? They were the loudest silent tears I ever cried. Okay? I knew it was over. Ooh, that felt good. I knew it was over. I knew it was over. Like, there was no... like, I'm giggling about it right now, but I knew it was over. Okay? And that began the whole thing. That's where it began, right there. I knew it was over that night. Whatever night that was, I want to say it was sometime in June. Because not too long after that night, that might have been in May-ish, 2023, whatever time it was. It didn't, that was the night when I realized this man don't want me. He don't love me. He continuously reject me. He continuously abandoned my wants, my needs, my feelings, the children. Like, it just wasn't me that he was abandoning. You know, and listen, that is a form of abuse, people. That is abuse. It is manipulation. It is, that's what it is, okay? And for me, I have come to learn that it was an addiction. I was addicted to the toxicity of that soul tie, of that man, of what he was giving me. I was addicted to it. Like, I wanted to be with him. So if I wanted to be with him, I had to be wanting something, right? I had to have wanted what he was giving. Or so I thought, you know. But you know what I'm saying. Cause you come out. So that just started the path of leading up to July 5th. So many things happened that just made stuff hit the fan. I even got to a point where I was like, I felt it. Oh my goodness, I felt it. Oh, but hold on. I gotta take you back because it actually started before May. So that was May. February, Super Bowl 2023. This is what really told me he don't care nothing about you. This is what really said he don't even respect you enough. So, Super Bowl 2023, his aunt made a dip. Now, don't get me wrong, she cooks really well. She makes one of the best broccoli casseroles. And when we on good terms, I even ask her to make it for me. You feel me? The best broccoli casserole ever. And she even used mushrooms, and I don't even like mushrooms. So, however, she made a dip, and I asked him to make sure that she used turkey sausage. Okay, I said make sure she's using turkey sausage. I said I can go out and buy the turkey sausage because I don't eat pork. I do not knowingly eat pork. Okay. Even when I go to a restaurant, hold the bacon. If they don't have turkey bacon, I don't want it. So, and this is what he knew, right? So, we get the dip. And I said, the dip is at home now. She has made this big old crock pot of dip. And before I even get some of the dip, my question is, did she use turkey? This is not pork, is it? He said, no, she used turkey. So I'm eating this dip. And I began to get sick. Do you hear me? I began to get so sick that I'm feeling like I'm getting ready to throw up any moment. And I'm like, yo, what in the world is going on? So I just sit there with my dip, my nachos and stuff. I think I had made some wings that night. I make the best wings, y'all. The best wings. But however, I digress. I'm sitting there and I just get sick. And I'm like, when halftime came, I was just like, something ain't right. I don't feel too good. I was feeling sick. But I didn't voice it. He just happened to look at me and he was like, you good? And I was like, no, like I feel sick. Like I feel really sick. And he was like, why? What's going on? And I was like, I don't know. I just feel sick. And y'all, this is when he said to me, oh yeah, she couldn't find no turkey sausage, so she just used the sausage she got from Sam's. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I just asked you, was it turkey? And you just told me, yeah. Y'all, this man fed me pork. He know I don't eat pork. He knowingly fed me pork, y'all. And I asked him, is this pork? Did she use pork? Y'all, he told me, he told me that this was turkey. Like, I trusted him. And guess what? He literally, knowingly, let me sit there and try to eat that pork when I asked, was it turkey? When I asked for turkey. And that was in February. So that's actually when the turn of events, when my eyes began to like squint, like, oh, he really don't give two craps about me. Y'all, I was sick for about 2 months. February, March, April. Yeah, I was sick. I was sick. People, yeah, I was sick. I could barely eat. Do you hear me? So this is gonna sit for a few minutes. If you were a client, we would do this, and then I would sit you under the deep conditioning. We would do heated, or we would do steam, but I don't need to do all of that. I'm just talking to y'all today while I do it. So, but anyway, this is what he did, and that right there told me, this man, girl, this man don't care nothing about you. And y'all, he didn't care. He thought it was okay. He could not understand why I was so mad. He could not understand why I didn't want to be bothered. He could not understand why I didn't want to be touched. I was the one with the attitude. It was me, okay? I was the one. It was me. It was me. It was me who had the problem. But you fed me pork, and you knowingly fed me pork. You didn't care nothing about me. And that's what I told him. You didn't care nothing about me. And then you lied about it. Okay, so I began to check out at that point. And then, different things about females and all of this stuff started surfacing. And so when July got here, all of that hit the fan. All of the other women, all of the hold on y'all, all of the other women, all of dealing with not caring about my well-being, my mental health, my physical health, what you're feeding me. There was no trust. Like, I can't trust you. And so on July 4th, no, actually July 1st or 2nd, I said, hey, let's go to the beach. Cause y'all, I felt that thing. I felt the explosion. Like I felt it happening, and I was sitting here trying to prevent it from happening. Like, I felt that thing, y'all. And so I was like, let's go to the beach. He was like, no, because the rent is due. So that's how I know it was the 1st, right? He was like, no, the rent due and I don't have the rent money. I was like, yo, let's just go, because it's just 4 hours away. We can just put gas in the car and go down and come back the same night. But rejected, not listening to me, not understanding that I needed to get to the water, not understanding that this is something I needed to do for my well-being. But because I felt it, y'all, I just didn't know when it was about to happen, but I needed to get to the water, because I needed that calmness. I needed that. I should have went to Virginia. That's what I should have did. I should have just left. But Myrtle Beach is just 4 hours away. So he was like, no, X, Y, and Z. So come July 4th, y'all, I pleaded. I said, because I went to work. I always work July 4th because I don't celebrate it. And I went to work. But before I got to work, before he dropped me off, and I was like, hey, let's go to the beach. I said, we need to go to the beach. Like, let's just go. And he was like, no. What I did not know, because the way his family felt about me, they, none of them liked me. And maybe his grandma on a good day, but even in that, I still caught whiff of the things that she would say about me. And, you know, I digress, right? But his family didn't like me anyway. That was the word on the street. That was how they treated me. And he never stood up for me except one time. Um, and even then, that was like mediocre. But however, I digress. Um, he wouldn't go. And on the way, him dropping me off at work, this is when I found out that his family already had plans. They already had plans because his cousin was getting ready to go back to school, um, for whatever reason. Or maybe she was just home for the holiday or something. I don't know. But I digress. But she was getting ready to leave that day. And before she left, they had this whole big family breakfast that I didn't know about because I wasn't invited to it because they don't like me and he was not a protector. Okay, I digress because that can go far because I've dealt with this almost the entire 13 years. So there's a lot in there. So I'm sitting at the salon, y'all. I felt like I was at the water. There was this calmness it just came over me and it just overtook me. It was this wave of peace that just came over me, and I just began to pray. I began to pray something along the lines of, Father, I don't know what this is, but I know it is about to happen. I said, just protect me in whatever this is coming, because when I say the peace before the storm, y'all, I didn't even know it was about to be like it was about to be. Do you hear me? On July 4th, 2023. Y'all, I was just sitting in the salon and I was just looking, and I began to pray. And I began to just pray for protection. I began to pray for the strength for whatever it is that's coming up, whatever it is that's about to happen. I don't know what it is, Father, but I know that your will has to be done. That much I do know. And whatever this is coming, I know that you got me. I know that you is a protector of me and my family. I just didn't know what it was, y'all. So I text him, I'm ready to be picked up. He picks me up from work, and God uses the children. He picks me up, and baby boy asks a question, and he asks his dad why he don't have pictures of us, the family, on his Instagram. When he asked it, I just sat there. I was just like, And so I responded. I said, because he don't want people to know that he has a family and that he lives with his family. Okay? He didn't want people to know. He rejected his family. He abandoned his family on just so many levels. He never even really accepted my daughter. And so that, all of that played. I remember times people would ask him, "Oh, you got four? How many kids you got?" And he would say three. Yo, he would say three, and my daughter would be standing there. Yeah. So, however, right? I digress because I still stayed with him, so ain't no need to keep de- dealing with that. But at the same time, the red flags were always there. At the same time, there was warning before destruction. Okay, and that's what I'm telling my clients. Like, before your hair got like this, you had warnings. But I digress, right? So I said that, I responded with that, and then the other two started saying something in the back there in that back seat, and then it just went on from there. It went on from there, and so my oldest son, very mouthy, very combative, but I only give him a little lenience because that's what he was exposed to. That's how toxic our household was. Like, if all you hearing is fussing, if all you hearing is arguing, that's gonna be the energy that you put out. But their dad, could not receive that. And no matter how much I'm like, son, that's your dad, X, Y, and Z, be respectful, X, Y, and Z, that just was not what was happening. So we going into this big old fuss, and we fussing, we arguing, and next thing I know, it's getting late. And so I'm like, what we gonna eat? And he was like, I ain't feeding y'all ungrateful, I do all of this, X, Y, and Z. And so I took the keys and we went to Golden Corral, y'all. We went to Golden Corral. I don't even think I've been back to Golden Corral since this day. But we went to Golden Corral, and my daughter is telling me that she got in trouble when they was at the aunt house, right? And so I was like, what do you mean that you got in trouble though? Like, I know it takes a village. And if my children is at your house and they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, hey, by all means, do what you gotta do respectfully though. And so she was telling me what had happened, and I was like, but I don't understand how you got in trouble. Like, you're telling me that she called you and asked you why you didn't speak, but to me, I don't see how you got in trouble. And how the story goes is she didn't speak to her aunt. And she didn't speak to her aunt because a few nights before this, her aunt tried to fight me. This was the one time he tried to stand up for me, but it was the wrong time because we're out in public. I would have rather it just been you not say anything to her. She was disrespectful, but you have allowed the disrespect to happen for so long. Why would you even use this opportunity? We're outside at Greenwood Drive, like at a baseball game. Why would you use this opportunity to say anything? Like, this is the wrong time because you know she hot headed, and I'm not gonna let her talk to me any kind of way. And so my daughter did not speak to her because of this situation. But her aunt, his aunt, her great aunt, said something to her. And so she told me about it. But I was like, well, I don't see how you got in trouble. So let me call her and see what's going on, right? I called her just off that. Just off, hey, Jalea told me that she got in trouble And so I just want to know what happened. Y'all, she took that and she used just me asking that one question and everything that she ever wanted to say to me about me. She took that opportunity, y'all, and she went in. I mean, she went in, hit so far below the belt that I had to stoop to her level, and I had to hit below the belt. I really didn't mean to, because what I said, I knew for years. I just, but when you come for my integrity, when you come for my character, when you come for what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, I gotta let you know that you stink too. Okay? So, and I did. And, and that was that, because I did not appreciate that. So I hit below the belt too. And I had to ask God to forgive me for doing that, because I stooped to her level and I should not have done that. I should have just hung up the phone like I always have done in the past. Just hang up. But something about this day, y'all, I'm telling you, like, I was ready to fight this day. Like, I was ready for the war, because I knew something was happening. So, but I mean, she called me everything in the book, y'all. And the whole time she's talking to me, I'm like, but I love y'all. I said, you can hate me all you want to. You can call me every B in the book, because I'm telling y'all, I was every B, capital, lowercase, spelt frontwards, spelt backwards, mixed them letters up. I was all of that. Okay? And all I did was called and asked you what happened. Because if her children was at my house and they came and told her that I got on them, she's going to call me and see what the deal was. And respectfully, that's just what I did. Hey, she told me she got in trouble. What happened? Yo, I'm telling you, she felt like I shouldn't call her to see what had happened. She felt like that was done at her house, and I didn't have the right to call her and ask her what happened. and she took that opportunity. Let me tell you, she took that opportunity to go in, and she hit me below the belt. And when you win that ring, you gotta hit back. And so I hit back, right? And so by the time we got back to the house, his mama was already calling him, or his aunt was calling him. One of the two was calling him. But I came in the house and I was like, yo, what's up with your aunt, X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. Telling him everything I just said. And you want to know what he said to me? Everything I just told him. He said to me, he said, why you say that to her? Everybody knows it but her. Why you say it to her? Y'all, I looked at him and I just could not fathom, but I should have known that he was not going to protect me in any kind of way, right? I should have known this. Y'all, next thing I knew, his mama was knocking on the door. I let her in and I let her know that I know you don't like me, and that's fine, okay? Because every opportunity that I have done to get to know you, because she don't know me. She don't know me, like 13 years and she don't know me. Never went to go get our nails done, never went to lunch, never none of this. And I'm your grandchildren's mother. And you never cared to get to know me. So I let her know how I felt. Like when I say the tower was falling, the roof was gone. It was gone, y'all. Like I had no filter and I could not catch the filter. Like I had to let these people know how I know how y'all feel about me, but I love y'all anyway. And they couldn't handle that. I couldn't give nothing but love back until she hit me below the belt. Then I had to gut punch that. I had to get her back. You know what I'm saying? But his mom, well, I don't feel no kind of way about you. I don't have a problem with you. You do have a problem. This is still lies. But either way, so his his mom came and his aunt gets on the phone and his sister gets on the phone calling him. They calling him, calling his mama. I'm on my way up there. Listen, y'all. I told him, I said, let him know that when they come up this way, that they are trespassing. Okay? Why would you want to come here and bring all of that drama to my house, to where we are residing? Why would you want to do that? I don't even care if I was at work. I don't even care. Whatever I could have. I don't care if I was in a grocery store. Why would you want to bring that drama to me? So I told him, I said, one of the kids was like, my aunt just pulled up outside. I said, I'm not worried about it because she's not going to come up here. She's not going to come up here. And it was like, she outside, she in the car. That's fine. That's fine. But she's not going to come up here. And all of a sudden, y'all, this dude took this moment, took this opportunity in front of his mom to tell me how much of nothing I was to him. He took this moment, and I'm telling you, as calm as my face is right now, this is how I was looking at him without the lazy eye, because this is tiredness. This is what my face does, right? What my eyes do when I'm tired. But he took this opportunity to tell me just how much of nothing I was to him. And I listened. And I soaked those words up. And his mama was just standing there and she was just like enjoying it. Like, I got front row seats to this, right? That was her expression. Now, whether she felt that way or not, she didn't hush him. Well, he's a grown man, so, but she didn't say you wrong. She didn't say nothing. She stood there and she allowed her son to disrespect me, his children's mother, her grandchildren's mother. But that just goes to say how much they even cared for me, even cohesively as a whole. But he did that. And when he was done, he said, y'all get the F out. And his mom was standing right there. Like, he said, y'all get the F out my house. He said, I don't care if you gotta go on government assistance. He said, I don't care where you gotta go. I don't care what you do. He said, y'all get the F out. And I looked at him and I said, okay. I ain't even gonna fight with you no more. Okay. While he was saying that, and even though it was coming at such a rage, and even though my feelings were hurt, all of that, all I heard was Hakadesh Ruach, the Holy Spirit saying, get out. It's time. Get out. That's what I was hearing. And so when I was responding, okay, that was it. I was responding to the Holy Spirit. I was responding to God. I was saying, okay, this is it. We are at the point of no return. We cannot come back from this. There is no coming back from this. This cycle is now closed. We did this for 13 years. The cycle is now closed. And I said, okay. This was July 5th, 2003. July 4th, 2003. After things died down, I went and got in my bed because I was paying for the bed we were sleeping in. I went and got in my bed. And it was so crazy because I felt all of the transformation happening, y'all, before it literally manifested. I had literally just, y'all, like just trying to better up the place. I had just brought new sheets. Maybe we might have had that on in the room for maybe 2 weeks, y'all. I brought new sheets. I brought new curtains, like new comforters, y'all, like redid the bathroom, redid the whole bedroom, turned that jank around. Like, I was feeling it before it manifested. So I went and got in my bed. He slept on the couch. I got up the next morning, July 5th, and I grabbed the keys, and he was like, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to go find us a place to stay. I had no more fight. Like, I had no more reason to fight because this man told me, he told us to get out. So on July 5th, I got up and I went looking for a place. I got apartment applications. I started calling people, calling housing. Before I left out, he was like, oh, y'all ain't gotta leave. No, we do. We do. He was like, you ain't taking my car. Well, I am. I'm gonna take the car. Do what you gotta do, because I'm walking out this door. And you know what he did? He laid on that couch and he did not, even if he wanted to get up, God didn't allow him to get up. I'm gonna say it like that. Yeah, and so I ended up calling a shelter because I needed something instant. Like, I didn't have the next day. I had that day. And that was July 5th. And I was really, even in all of that turmoil, y'all, I felt like this dude. Now, mind you, y'all, we had a gun in the house. We had a gun in the house. And his rage was so up there that I don't know if he would not have used it. I don't know if his hands would have not connected with my body. I'm telling y'all, it was just like, I don't know what he's going to do next. Because there's nothing left to do. You have degraded me. You have manipulated. You have punched me verbally in every way possible. There was nothing else you could do. The only thing next was some physical harm. And I was just really like, we gotta go. You know, he said it, but Hakadesh Ruach told me, and I agreed because I really, you know, in this earthly realm, I don't know what's about to happen next. I grew up in um domestic violence. I grew up in that stuff. It was known in my household, so I knew what it looked like. Okay, that's a whole nother story too. But like they say, you find your dad, you find your father. Okay, you find your dad, um, good or bad. As a young female, that's pretty much what you tend to attract. But however, um, I ended up calling a shelter. I called one shelter, they didn't have space. I called another shelter, boys couldn't be there, and I had sons. Boys couldn't be there. Another shelter, no children could be there. And I'm just like, well, what the heck? Two things happened. I thought about my childhood and where we went when we had to go to a shelter. And I thought about this this place who sponsored the fashion show that I had just worked in April, and they were the same people. And so that was one, that was two, and me having to call them made three. So I called them, and this was nobody, it was nobody but God Himself who got us in there. Do you hear me? And got us in there that same day. I had, I think I had maybe $50 to my name. I'm gonna say 50, but it might have been 55. But I had $50 to my name. And after doing all the intake, going through that whole process to even see if I qualify, you had to qualify to get into the shelter. Like, and I think the whole intake was about 45 minutes to an hour over the phone. And at the end of it, she said, "Can you get here today?" I said, "Yes." I had no idea where get there was. No idea. But yes, ma'am, I can get there today, July 5th, 2003. She said you have to be there by 6 p.m. She said get to a safe place where the officers can pick you up. The police, we had to be escorted by the police, y'all. Me and my children. So they could not pick me up from where I was because 9 times out of 10, he would have followed. So I took a few dollars of those $50 that I had, possibly 55. I took a few of those dollars and I got us a lift. And I lift to my grandma's house. And when I lift to my grandma's house, I called the shelter and I let them know the address where the police could come pick us up. And even then, I had no idea where we were going. I had to literally trust the process. People, you got to trust the process, okay? When God opens up the door for deliverance, when He allows you to come into my seat, when He allows you to come in here, you have to trust the process. I had no idea where me and my children was going. I had to trust these officers, and at the time, nobody knew except my grandma and my uncle and my aunt, and that's because my uncle and aunt showed up as the officers were showing up. But nobody knew. And whoever see this, you're gonna just find out. There are people who are close to me who did not know that I was living in a shelter. There is family right now who are asking me for handouts and for free hair care and they struggling, they going through this, who did not even once ask me what's going on with me or how am I doing. Nobody. Even the salon I was working at, never, not one phone call. How is you doing? What's going on? You haven't been at work. I made that phone call because I had to let her know that, you know, I'm okay and I haven't been at work. You know, that's just me letting her know because I'm in her establishment, I'm in her building, and I need her to know that I'm dealing with this right now and I'm not in there. But other than that, she wouldn't have known. She wouldn't have known. And that was also a wake up call as well. Sometimes the people that you hold near and dear, they don't hold you in the same regard. And but the whole time I was, when I say I could barely make it to work. I could barely, even before leaving, like getting up, going to work, I was dragging myself up. I was forcing myself up. But even in going to work, I would do hair for free because that was my safe place. Just doing hair, like, y'all, and the crazy thing is, even though I was doing hair for free, my clientele was dwindling. My clientele was going down because I really wasn't there. Like, mentally, I wasn't there. Clientele going down. I'm telling y'all, it was just a whole bit to do 2023. Like, it was just, y'all, I can't even. It's so many innuendos in this, you know. I may go back and fill in some of the blanks, but my clientele was leaving. I was dealing with witches and warlocks and the warfare. Ah, the warfare was great, y'all. The warfare was great. But God called me. And He called me for a reason. And I answered. Okay? And because I answered, He gave me a safe place to go to for me and my children. And even though we were going through what we were going through, I still had to go through with a mindset of peace and prayer. I still had to begin releasing. The soul tie was broken. That night I cried out. It was broken that night. Whatever night that was, when I asked him about marriage and he told me, who am I? What am I? He's not going to marry me, pretty much, right? That night, the soul tie was broken. Yeah. But I had to put my children in a shelter. And sometimes I just think back on how my mother must have felt having to put me and my little sister in a shelter. You know, I think back on it a lot, y'all. And I think about, because I experienced it, I think about just how strong she actually had to be to do it. Y'all, I be really trying and not want to become overly emotional, but I had to, like, I was living that thing, and I had to many times, even to now, just realize just how strong my mother had to be delivered from the strong man, my dad, to walk away from him, to do whatever it was that she had to do so that we were good. It took a lot. It took us moving to Virginia. I know. That's how we ended up in Virginia. Domestic violence. But my dad was physical abusive. My dad was verbally abusive. My dad was mentally abusive. So many countless stories. But my mom had to be so strong. And now that I had to experience it, y'all, even for my children had to live this. I had to put my children into a shelter. Yeah, that's what I had to do for us to be safe. I did not work for almost a month. So we really didn't have any money. Thankfully, the shelter, um, they we did grocery shopping. Well, they grocery shop for us. We just had to do a list every 2 weeks. Y'all, is 3 children. That grocery list, that food went quick. And yeah, I asked people here and there for money, but going into it, I had an advocate. They assigned family advocates. And we set goals. Even though I was going through this, I did not have time to literally sit and feel it, because it's only for so long. Like, you only have a certain amount of time, and I want to say it was maybe 8 weeks that you had to be in there. And so it's like, I'm in the shelter. What am I gonna do? Like, I had no car. When I came back from Virginia, I had 2 cars. Everything was gone. Like, everything I had was gone. All I had was my flat irons, my blow dryers, my hair stuff, and my children, and life in our bodies, and God. That's all I had. That was it. That's all I had. And I had to trust. I had had to trust that God had something set up for me just because of my obedience in this season. Just because I was obedient in that time. And because I let it go fully, completely, 100%. And so I had to live with that every day. I did not know what the next day was bringing. I had no idea. Literally, when I say literally living day by day, when I literally say new mercy every day, literally every day, I had no idea what the next day would bring. So we set these goals, and I had about a good 4 to 6 weeks to accomplish these goals. And one of them was get a car, because we was Ubering or walking everywhere we went. But one of those goals were get a car. Even at the way I was thinking, even if at the end of these 8 weeks and I have a car, we can live in a car, we can sleep in a car, been there, done it before, we can do it again, but not to the degree with 3 children, but darn near being in a hotel, right? But push come to shove, at the end of this, if we have nowhere to go, we have this car. But I needed the car, so I went back to work. I Ubered my children to work with me. And one thing about me is I cannot stand my children being at work with me unless we out at a pop-up shop or something like that. But sitting in a salon, who no. No, I could not, did not like that. But it was what I had to do. I had to take them to work with me. And so we Ubered. I had to order food. Y'all, I don't even know where the money came from. I'm just going to be honest. At that time, I would ask my daughter's father for a few dollars. So he did help me, you know, with about $25, $40, $50 here and there when I would ask. But I had to take my children to work with me. And I had clients that would cancel. And they don't even know to this day what counseling did to me and my children. They don't even know that asking me for free hair care. They don't even know that yes, you're going through, but I'm going through too. But yes, come on. I'll do your silk press for free. I'll wash your hair for free. People would cancel, stop coming. I'm just like, they would catch attitudes. Even before that, because I've been dealing with this, like, I lost clients because I was dealing with his mentality. Like, his mentality began to overtake my own mentality. I was beginning to lose my mind. I was beginning to lose my own mind, y'all. And I'm not saying I was mean to my clients, but it became things that I used to let slide. I stopped letting it slide. But that was more so because, y'all, I need the money. Like, I have to charge you a deposit. I have to charge you a cancellation fee. Like, I have to charge you because I need the money right now. Although, in retrospect, I should not have done that, but I needed it. I'm giving out free hairstyles, but I need the money. Like, that's just a little too humble. That was just a little too humble. But at the same time, I had to be humble. Like, it's a catch-22. But I just felt really like giving up. I really felt like throwing in the towel. And when I say throwing in the towel, I mean throwing that jack in and not picking it back up. I almost went and worked for somebody. I almost. But I kept pushing. I kept going. I took my children to work with me. I started looking for a car. I still had no money. I'm going to car dealerships and they're telling me, oh no, you can't, we can't do nothing for you. I even went on referrals. We can't do nothing for you. And so I ended up going to a buy here, pay here. They gonna get you in a car. Regardless if that car worth whatever you got to pay for it, they're gonna get you in a car. And so I even had to borrow the money for that. Had to borrow the down payment. They wanted 1,000, but I couldn't get 1,000. I told them what I could get though, and that's what I gave. They agreed to it. Of course, it made my payments higher, but I had to get a car. And let me tell you, the person who was asking for free hair care, because I knew she was getting her car, she got her car from them, I put her down as a reference. When you refer someone, you get $125. She didn't even know because I didn't tell her. I just wanted her to receive the check. I didn't even tell her that I put you down as a reference and expect a check for $125. I never told her. When I went to go make my first payment, or my second payment maybe, I asked them, like, did she pick up the check? And it was like, no, we mail it out. And I was like, so she never received it? It was like, no, it was returned back to us. And so I called her and I'm like, hey, X, Y, and Z. And she's on the phone. And now mind you, I'm going through what I'm going through, y'all. She's on the phone and she's telling me how family ain't this, how family ain't that, and how she don't have nobody. Everybody turned their back on her and all of this stuff. And I'm just listening to her and I just said, well, I hope I'm not in that category. I said, because when you call me and you need free hair care, I give it to you. When you call me and you needed a place to stay in Virginia, I gave it to you twice. So I hope I'm not in that category that you're talking about. I said, but have you received a check in the mail? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. I put you down as a reference as a referral, not a reference, on my car. And they've been trying to get a check to you, but it returned back to them. But this is the same person that I was helping out, y'all. Because one thing I do know is that it's always bigger than me. But she didn't know my situation. Neither did she offer $2. She offered nothing. I wasn't expecting it because I did what I did, you know. But she never said, do you need anything? She never said, hey, thank you for doing this. So here, none of that. Because I walked around as if nothing was going on. I did not look like what I was going through. So I was still going to work. And as I'm working, and the time is winding up for us to be in the shelter. I think we are in the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, Father, where are we going after this? Like, what's next? Like, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's to come. I don't know school getting ready to start. I don't know what's going on with my children. I don't know where we're going to be. We're going to be outside. And I relayed this to my advocate. And she was like, don't worry about that. And I was just like, how am I not going to worry about it? Like, what are we going to do? She said, don't worry about it. This program opened up for transitional housing. You're still in the program, but it is transitional housing. And y'all, the door opened up. And when it opened up, my family, us, me, we were the first family, the first client of this shelter program that moved in anything under this new program. This is now August something. We moved in September 8th, 2003, on my son's birthday. We moved in. 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. I had to trust him day by day, literally give me this day my daily bread, literally every day. I'm praying it every day. Lead me beside the still waters every day. You are my shepherd, I shall not lack. Every day, every day. Press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling every day. Be transformed by the renewing of my mind every day. Create in me a clean heart and renew the right spirit in me every day. Every day. From the morning to the evening, in my sleep. This was a constant, continual prayer that I had to pray every day. Give me this day my daily bread. Because I knew not where it was coming from, but I did know where my help came from, but I did not know how we was going to make it from day to day. Do you understand what I'm saying? His grace is so sufficient. When you just answer the call with a yes, every door will be open according to his will, according to what he has in store for you, for me. I'm just grateful. I am just grateful that whatever it is that he has me to do, whatever this call is, what my purpose is, what my ministry is, whatever it is that he have me to do, he see fit for me to do it so much, so deeply, that he called my name again. And this time when he called me, I gave him a yes. Before he even delivered me out of the situation, my answer was yes. before he even made the my mind began to transition out of that place, my answer was already yes. And I believe with every fiber of my being that he knew that this last yes, every day is a yes, but that yes was the yes that shifted the trajectory of my life. That was the yes that brought me up out of the grave. Do you hear me? That was the yes that says, the song says, if he has to reach way down, he will pick you up. That was the yes. That was the anchor. That was the anchor. You know, when I just see it so vividly on a ship, when it's at dock, when it's not moving, when it's not doing anything, in order to make that ship be still, they have to let down the anchor. And in order for this ship to move, they have to pull that anchor up. My yes in God, my yes to God, my yes to the call. I don't even know all that I'm called to, but my yes to the call allowed God to say it's time to move. It allowed him. It was my yes. It could have went another way. It was my yes that said, let's pull up this anchor. Let's get this ship sailing. Let's get her to the other side of the sea. There are other things for you. There is greater in me, okay? There is greater in me. I literally heard him tell me this. There is greater in me. I remember when I just began to quote scriptures around the house when I was in there. And this must have been in the time of the shifting taking place. This must have been during the time of him pulling up this anchor. Because I remember saying, no weapon formed against me is going to prosper. I remember saying, I cancel out these generational curses that haunts me. I couldn't speak for nobody else in my family at the time, but I was dealing with repetition. I was dealing with a cycle that started long before me. I was just in that cycle. And then I created my own cycle out of that cycle. So no weapon formed against me was going to prosper. There was so much revelation that was coming to me in the year of 2023. And I believe that so much of it was coming in 2023 because I had to get to 2024. And I had to get to everything that had to happen in 2024. And I don't even live by this calendar, but I live by this calendar. He began to pull that anchor. I remember these scriptures that pulled me on up, that pulled me up out of the grave. Hush. That anchor pulled me up. And we can never go back to that place because he pulled that anchor up. When he pulled that anchor up, when he broke that soul tie, when he said, "This is it," I agreed. I decreed and I declared and I vowed that we can't go back to this because we've done this so many times. The cycle just kept starting over. The cycle just kept starting over. We couldn't go back to that. And so he made that thing crash to the point of no return. He pulled up that anchor. If the anchor is not there, the boat can't stay there. The ship can't stay there. It takes the anchor to keep it there. God pulled up that anchor. And because, because my being, my soul has been anchored in him, I came on up out of that grave. I came on up out of that mess. I came up out of that turmoil. I came on up out of that toxicity. I came on up out of that cycle as he was pulling up that anchor. Because y'all gotta catch it. I feel that thing. I feel it. Because my soul was anchored in him, when he began to pull me, he pulled my soul up out of the grave. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? He is a deliverer. He is a restorer. He is a healer. And he will heal all of that brokenness. All of the brokenness. There was a reason why I was attracted to him. There was a reason why I put up with all of that. There was a reason for that I dealt with the abandonment, the neglect, the rejection. There was a reason. Because somewhere my heart was broken. He will heal. He will heal it.